Well spoken, given the fact that. Okay, how about on your side? What do you think every social enterprise should expect from their partner? I mean, we all come in with different expectations, but I'm sure that on the investment side, there are some things that these enterprises need to expect.
I think first is that the entrepreneur should know who they are, and they know their strengths or their weakness, so that when they're looking for a partner, whether they're looking for a teammate or a co-founder, it's really someone who can complement your strength and who is actually your weakness, so that together they could really execute. So, and then the other thing is really looking at things long term, as Kathy was saying. It's important to know who you are, your values, what are your borders, what you will not agree to. You won't pay the tax man on the side, things like, difficult decisions you have to make along the way. So knowing your values and looking at things long term, that's important for you to know first before you go seek partners or investors. Know what you can bring to the table and what they can bring to you, so both of you can create value.
But Diane, let's say, speaking from IdeaSpace, is there something that whenever you invest in a particular social enterprise, there are certain requirements or certain expectations of your own role? Are there?
Yes, we look at the qualities of the entrepreneur. We make sure one of the criteria, 5 items in the criteria we look for really is, one is commitment, because it takes a long time before value is created or money is, profit comes. So somebody who's really committed long term. So if they have plans of going abroad or masters here, then hey, go get your masters first before you do this social enterprise or before you do this startup. The other one is really, as I said earlier, self-awareness. We notice that many Filipino entrepreneurs are very low in self-awareness. They love their ideas so much, not so much. So self-awareness is one, commitment, prudence is very important for us, and then gratitude is very important because we don't take equity. Therefore, we want people to take it, pay it forward. We want to grow the number of entrepreneurs in the Philippines. We want to grow the number of technology entrepreneurs in the Philippines. So we want startups who will help other startups.
Okay, and Pranay, what do you think? Do you make demands like you must have a CFO position, you must be on board seat, you want some level of management control?
So I'll just go back to it. So Terry did talk about the need for investor education. I think it's an interesting point because we meet a number of enterprises that where in some senses the investors are too involved, too hands-on. Part of all of this is trust. I think when investors feel like something isn't good, when problems start to happen, do they feel it's necessary to intervene? And I think it works on both sides because entrepreneurs need to be able to express the issues that they're facing, but in an environment where they are challenged, but challenged in a safe way. So the theme keeps coming up again and again. It's so similar to a long-term relationship, but building up trust takes, it's a very slow process. But converting it into, and you shouldn't necessarily be, completely transparent all the time. And that's asking for trouble. But in the end, I think the fact that you're committed to the same long-term goal, which is that the company grows. If the company grows, the investor is successful. So fundamentally, I think that's what it all comes down to, is how do you help the company grow the fastest. So treat your investors like problem solvers, like network door openers. So how can you utilize them in the best possible way in a long-term partnership where you are being as open and transparent as you can be, and utilizing what they bring to the table as effectively as possible.
Thank you. And Terry, you want to add to anything?
I think that they've said almost everything. I think having good engagement with your investors, and like you said, the trust side, really being honest, but sometimes you have to look at how engaged you are with them. But I think it's important that you engage them. But having like-minded, I love your marriage analysis, and I think it's great. And it's a challenge. But I think that you have to step back sometimes and look at it and say, is this the right? How are we working forward? And at the same time, how do we keep them engaged with us? Because it's long term. Sometimes social enterprises are not like gaming. It's like sometimes it's bumpy road. Sometimes, like you said, they want to go back to school. We had one that was in Singapore. The guy wanted 2 more years to go back to school and finish. And so the investors allowed it. They put their investment, said, okay, we'll wait a year and a half. But it's paid off. But they had a long-term vision together. But they stayed in communication.
Okay, so we see that there is a need to balance off both the investment side and the impact side on both sides. I mean, both sides agree to this. Now let me ask precisely about the impact side, or the business model, which everyone seems to have agreed on that is important. What aspect of the business model do you think is most important, or what do you think investors might be looking at? And please don't feel obliged to answer, because we all don't need to answer. But those who want to, yes? I think, let me go first to Korawit. I think you had the mic first, and I'll go to Kathy afterwards.
So on the impact side, right? For us, is about fundraising to these social projects, and we work with these projects by screening and looking at each project to make sure that it's transparent. Because for us, we also work with businesses that they help us, they donate their spare capacity on the platform, and so basically they kind of trust us to do the screening on the impact side as well. So to make sure that this is transparent, this is trustworthy, we work both on the social projects and also the businesses to make sure that everything is aligned in that sense. I'm not sure if that answered the questions.
Okay, but that would be the most important component? Trust would be the most important component of your business model?
Yes, because we work mainly, like our core business is about doing partnership, because we have 3 stakeholders, like business, people, and also the social projects that work together to make this happen. So basically, trust is the most important factor in that aspect.
Okay, Kathy, what do you think?
Well, can I be 100% honest here? I might speak out different opinion, and some of the audience might do not agree. But I think because for us, we're a business and startup, first of all, I don't look at the impact and growth business line as separate. They are coincide with each other. As entrepreneurs, especially a business entrepreneur, I think we need to do our job. Our job is to grow fast, and there's no other job you should do as a CEO. And you definitely shouldn't look at, because I'm doing impactful, so I'm not growing. If you're not growing, you suck, and you're not gonna survive. You have to survive first. So I do think the primary job of a business-based entrepreneur is to grow fast, to deliver the numbers, to deliver the promise, because that's the only chance you can survive in the bloodbath competition. But you do need to think, or a business do need to think, how to incorporate the impactful or social elements together with your high growth. Because being social is not charitable. Being social can also be good for business. So you need to think that way. So you need to be business driven, need to be number driven, need to be growth driven. Shouldn't look at 2 issues separate. That's my point.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Reese?
No, absolutely, I agree. I think we have treated business or anything for a long time in different silos and vacuums, when in fact they really don't belong there. So we have externalized a lot of the environmental costs and people costs, but they're actually really part of our process of doing business. So we should consider them, definitely, absolutely agree on that. I think the question on what's the most important component of what you do is really dependent on the kind of business that you are creating. So Kathy mentioned growing. So you also have to define what growth means for you. So it doesn't always mean that you have to grow in terms of number of people, because sometimes that is not what your business model is all about. It could be like number of platforms, number of companies. So it really depends. So, and it may not even be just the number, but also the quality of service. So there are different ways to define what growth means. In the case of frag storages, what the most important part for us is really the purpose of why we're doing it in the first place. So we have made a lot of mistakes in the past 10 years of asking the wrong questions. Like, what would an investor want to see when they look at our company? But rather, we should always consistently ask what is needed so that our social impact is nurtured, our social impact is sustained. Because when you're clear with that and investors see it, it becomes a result of what you're already doing and not something that you're doing just because you need money. So it's never a good sign that you're already thinking of how to sell your company, even if it's not adhering to why you started in the first place. So, yeah.
Okay, how about from the investor side? What are you looking for in a social impact model? Is it the number of people they're helping, the number of jobs they're creating? What would you be looking for in a social model?
It really comes down to the investor. I mean, when you look at the investor, if the investor is looking at Corns, and saying, look, he's helping organizations do fundraising, which they weren't able to. So he's able to take and go to companies and say, look, we have 10 rooms. We'll give it to you, you put it on your site, and then here's 3 charities we want the money to go for. So I, as an investor, is going to say, hey, he's helping create, not a crowdfunding, but he's really looking at a purpose-driven. So it's going to be a different model than on the gaming side. The gaming side, I, as an investor, is going to say, what's my return on investment? How many users are you getting? But it's going to be very different from what is. So you have to look back at the investor and who you're talking to.
But there's no, let's say, overall guideline for a particular model or components of a model you'd be looking for.
Well, I mean, it comes down to, again, this is still a new sector. If we're talking here in the Philippines, it's very new for the investor. I mean, how many years have you guys been going? About 10 years now? I remember having the conversation 10 years ago in Singapore with your founders, and they were like, wow, this is so hard to get people to have this discussion. That was 10 years ago. Now today, it's a topic that's put over and over. You're still going to have your business models. You're going to have some kind of return on investment. If it be a 3, 5, 20%, if it's a regular business. But for a lot of philanthropists or investors on a social enterprise, they're going to want to make sure, are you making an impact? Define for me, what is that impact?
Diane?
I think whether regardless of it's a venture capitalist, venture philanthropist, pure philanthropy, what's important, that's maybe the common term is stewardship, proper stewardship of resources. That has to, all of them will look at that. So apart from the business model,
yes,
it's using the resources properly,
of the investor,
making sure that you create more value, create more wealth.
Okay, let me get to the last point that they brought up in the first question, which is how important the team or the people are in the choice of investment. And I think Diane kind of talked about it a lot, that they look for commitment, passion, and all of these things. What other things are important for you? When you look at the team of the investor, are you looking for credentials, pedigree? What jumps up at you when you want to make an investment in a particular team?
So this is a really interesting question. So the most successful impact enterprises we found have 3 people who are committed in the long term to the company. So it's sort of bringing 3 different skill sets together. The first is the person who brings the large vision and sort of has the foresight of where the company is going 10 years from now. They're often the one that has the initial idea. But then very often the skill set doesn't align with the ability to look at details in terms of operations or getting the stuff done on the ground. They tend to move, they tend to be very networking people. So I'm making broad stereotypes. These can overlap, but that's the first type is the big picture person. The second type is the operational person, the person who's looking at the details. The third person is the numbers person. And I think It may be that the operational person and the numbers person is the same person. That's not always the case. It may be that the numbers person is very good at fundraising, so they may have some of the elements of the founder as well. But you do need a person who can challenge you basis the numbers. And it should be people who again have that level of trust and commitment between them. But in our observation of the most successful impact enterprises, there are sort of these three key skill sets that have to be between 2 or 3 people at similar levels. It can't be that one person. There's normally one person who's still leading the group, but it's still a somewhat equal balanced relationship.
Okay, Terry.
Mutual respect, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Terry.
I think to add to that on the skill set, if it's a technology, you have to have someone that's very knowledgeable in technology, is able to manage a team in technology, because that is something that can drag you down, can hold you back, compared to maybe if you're just looking for partnerships and engaging.
Diane, you want to add to the earlier?
Yeah, the Silicon Valley lingo is the hacker, the hipster, and the hustler. So
Okay.
the 3H, yeah. 3H is hacker, hipster, hustler.
And the hustler is the visionary?
No, the hustler is the operations
The
guy.
operations guy,
Yeah,
okay.
the one who, and the hustler who looks for money also.
Okay.
Or the hacker is the one who codes and does the tech. In
And that-
IdeaSpace, we add 3 more H's. Pardon for the non-Filipinos, you'd have to translate. The first H is hugot. Why? Why? Because it's
Why with an H? Why?
yes. Yes. Yeah. The hugot. Next, we look at huwaran, people with proper stewardship. Excellence comes under huwaran, and habang buhay. So this is long term, looking at things long term, not just on a short term.
So the first 3 again are hipster. Was it hipster?
Hacker, hipster, and hustler.
Hipster, hustler. The Hawaii. The
Hugot.
The Hawaii,
Huwaran.
the commitment and the excellence.
Yes.
We can do it that way to stay consistent. How about on your side? How important was building your team, or did you have to respond to these needs? You know, we want this and that. Did you have all of the H's when you put your team together?
Actually, the strategy of our team is to look for the best people. Like, the best people that they do whatever they, best in what they do. Like, normally the goal of our team is get people who know what they're doing. They doesn't matter if they have like long experience, because our team is all pretty young, like less than 35. But it's still tough for us to look for, these good people, these talented people who join our team. Because at the end of the day, we believe that after we put them in the team, people who, really great skills and have experience and doing things that they've done before, they can find things to grow our company as well. Because there are so many things in Socialgiver that anybody can jump in and take ownership, because we work like a startup that, there's no big roles, there's no big times that you have to come in and get out. It's just, you have to be responsible and do whatever it takes to grow the company. So we work like really real startup, try to go fast.
Okay, Reese?
Yeah, it's a reality that you won't always get to the right team at one point in time. It's just a reality. It's hard to get to your perfect team members, to the Avengers or whoever, but it's hard. So you will take a while, you will grow your model, you will make a lot of mistakes, you will hire the wrong people to know who the right people are. And I think it's important to know what component of your business is just absolutely important. Like, what is the core of what you're doing? So for example, in our case, we work with community artisans who are making bags and fashion accessories from their homes, and then we sell to in the Philippines and all over the world. So if you think about it, you'd probably think, okay, maybe you need a really, really good community organizer. But when we looked at our model, we realized that the important component there is really design and product development. So that is what we had to absolutely be great at. So, and it took a while, because it wasn't easy to find the right designer who can translate artisanal creations to beautiful fashion masterpieces. So it took us a while, but now we have him. So his name is Chris. Sarah is not here, but I'm just like honoring him because it was really tough for the past few years without him. So it took a while, but you have to know what part of your business is absolutely important that you have to absolutely hire the best person for.